Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back. Today's guest is a friend that I met at a yoga retreat a couple weeks ago and just moved me immensely with his story. Also found out he's an author, wrote a book about his story, and so convinced him to come on the podcast. So today's guest is Nick He, and we'll be chatting about his journey. We do dive quite a bit into meditation towards the end, but really just talking to him about his path and how inspiring it is. So hope you get something out of the conversation. We'll see you on the other side. All right, welcome back to Journey of the Modern Yogi. I'm your host, Adam, and sitting across from me today is one of the first guests that I've had that I'm not very familiar with, right? And that's super exciting to me. So the guests that I've had so far have been people that have kind of come up and helped raise me in my yoga career and yoga training, and have big impacts in that aspect. And Nick, the gentleman sitting across from me today, is a gentleman that I met at a yoga retreat a couple weeks ago, and his story was just so beautiful. And the feeling that I had whenever we did, I practiced Reiki on you, and was just an amazing feeling. And so we sparked up a conversation and found out that Nick had written a book and that he's just got a fantastic story. And so was excited to get him on the podcast. So today,
thank you, Adam, for having me.
Oh man, so excited! And so you've written a book called Two Dads and Three Girls, right? And through that book, this was an Amazon bestseller, right?
It is.
That's
yep.
awesome.
It was.
Yeah, fantastic. So cool, man. So I just got the book 2 days ago, and I plowed through it. Like, it was such a good read. I love your writing style. This was your first book to write, right?
It is my first book. Yep.
Were you a writer beforehand? Had you been writing at all?
No,
or?
I'm not a writer at all. I wrote my journal.
Yeah.
I journal all the time, and then to just record my thoughts and then let it process and then see what I need to do for my life, try to gain that clarity.
Yeah.
But writing a book, especially in English, is my first time because I'm 100% made in China.
Yeah.
And then
made in China.
writing a book in English, when
Yeah.
I was fourth grade, I don't even speak English. I don't even know ABC.
Wow.
So it's a long journey. It's tough. I have a few editors. When I was interviewing, they helped me to polish the book, some chapters, to the way that I cannot even see that's me anymore. So I decided not to do that. So I completely kept this book to be me, because my goal of writing this book is to help others. It's actually from a journey that I think that was like 4 years ago. I was in an event called Best Year Ever. It's from Miracle Morning.
Okay.
The Hell Guy. It's in San Diego. And in the event, he keep pushing to say, what do you want for your life? And then he start a guided visualization exercise, because one of the rituals in the morning, in Miracle Morning, is to visualize. So he guided us to talking about what we want to do. I don't know at that time.
Yeah.
At that time, I work for Microsoft. I have a great career. I have a great team. Everything seems so perfect. My manager loves me. I'm like, what do I want? And then it's through that guided visualization. Somehow I feel like I had my first daughter, Phoebe, and I know all the pain, all the suffering I went through as a confused stray kid, grew up in China.
Yeah, right.
And then you went through and think the depression, thinking about the suicide. And then so finally come out of that. And then I don't want that pain. And then especially the experience to go through that pain and then to find out who truly I am and to live a life I feel like is very beautiful and happy today.
Yeah.
And I think that experience may help somebody. So
yes. Well, I can tell you honestly, I mean, I'm not a homosexual person, and it's helped me, right? I'm not a homosexual. I don't have surrogate children. Like, this book has basically, for all intents and purposes, has nothing that would draw me to it. But the story is so beautiful. Like, it is such a touching story that it has helped me in so many ways, and just barely. I mean, I've read it once. I typically, with books that I thrive on, I'll read it a couple times, and this is definitely a book I'm going to read a couple times. And every time you read it, it's going to bring something else out into you. You're going to recognize a different part of the story. You're going to see a different and identify with a different part of the struggle. And that empathy that creates is so beautiful, because, like I said, like this is a story that I have no relation to, but is still so moving and touching to me and inspirational, because you have overcome something in your own life, you've recognized something in your own life, and then you're doing everything you can to make that truth, right? And that's so inspiring.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Adam, for saying that. To me, I feel like I always thought before homosexuality, it's a demon. It's something I cannot even talk about.
Right.
I cannot even think about.
Right.
But now I feel like it's such a blessing because it's a tool. It's actually a tool that I'm so blessed with to find out who I am. Once I breaks through of that, and then I feel like I find my true happiness in life. It's like what we practice in meditation, like Ananda. It's a joy within me.
Yeah.
It's not about outside. It's not the outside material things.
Right.
I still love those. But however, I can find peace within me, with my family. And I feel like no matter it's sexuality or religion or just family or just the way you grew up, you always want to compete yourself with other people, right? And all the glories behind them. What are the things that truly is glory but limit you to thinking about what you cannot break through and then paint a path that you think that you need to be? Maybe not. So I feel like I hope writing this book can help people, and then to give them some courage, different angles, and then to see their life, to see what they can break through. And I know the show is about the modern yogis, right? And then so actually writing this book, the whole evolution of me, I think, is coming from the yoga. It's when I start to do hot yoga. I think it's over 4 or 5 years ago. When I first time go to fusion and then start to do hot yoga. Exactly. And then that's what to make me to start, not stop, but reduce my looking outside and just start looking inside a little bit more. And push me to the event to San Diego, push me to visualize, push me to think, and then push me to write a book. And then I want to help others, but it turned out it helped me the most. So
there you go. Well, and that's the beautiful thing is that, we can't be of service until we are fit for service, right? And so through writing that book, you became confident in the service that you can offer people. And now you're able to offer that service to people through that ritualness of writing this book, right? That's so cool, man. I love that.
Yeah, it is. Before, I don't even understand the concept about everything in the world is energy. Every experience you have stores some energy in you. Until I'm writing this book, because I woke up at 5 o'clock every day and then going to my study, just start writing the book, And my husband, Brian, with a Y, a lot of the time he woke
make sure to put that in there, right?
Yeah, with a Y. And then he come downstairs. I was crying in the study. He was like, "Why you're crying?" I feel like, oh my gosh, you don't know what I just uncovered in my memory. And all those things I try to, selective memory, try to shield myself away from. Because from the human instinct, my mind try to manipulate my memory, try to protect me, not to feel hurt of them at all. But now I have the chance to process the energy, to let it go from the low frequency to the up frequency, and then really pass through me. I truly feel physically there's something happening around in my heart area. And I truly feel like after I writing the book, I live so light. It's like just like walking on the water, that kind of feeling. It's just magical. I know I still have a lot of things I need to process through, but that's what in Chinese we call 修行. It means practice. So every day that's what I'm 修行ing, trying to practice myself and then to process all the negative energy that's stored within me, process all the things happening to me every day, and to just raise the frequency of the event.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So if you don't mind, would you give us kind of like a brief overview of the book, right? So it basically talks about your story moving through understanding that you are a homosexual man, having to deal with that in China, which I could only imagine, with what I've never been to China, but what I read about and what I understand. And then having the parents also, right? Coming to a new country and then, exploring that. So, that's, you've done a lot, with that as a personal journey. So would you mind kind of unpacking that a little bit and talking about what that journey seemed like for you?
Yeah, definitely. For the book itself, it's 2 parts. I modeled this book shamelessly steal from Phil Knight. The Shoe Dog, because that's one of my favorite autobiography.
Awesome.
And then, so there are two parts. The first part is about two dads, how we become two dads. The second part is how we become two dads as three girls. So our surrogacy journey.
Okay.
And then the first part, talking about two dads, it's everything starts, it's in 2009. So I grew up in China, as I mentioned, 100% made in China. And then a lot of people think about coming to America, even for my parents, is for glorified education.
Okay.
So I'm always the grade A student and get the best grade, best school, best job. And then, but somehow I know there's something missing in me. There's something make myself different.
Yeah.
And I have a girlfriend that I never kiss. We hold hands.
Right.
And then I know it's a lie somewhere.
Yeah. What age was the girlfriend? Was it May May?
Yeah, that's all fake name because I tried to protect her identity.
Totally.
She's actually living in Seattle right now.
Nice. Right on.
And she have her beautiful family as well. But that was from 2005 to 2007.
Okay.
So it's after my college graduation and then when I'm still struggling. But I know there's something different. And then so I think my education, so I apply for MBA education. So I went to Duke in North Carolina for my MBA. And I think for a lot of people, including my parents, and the super expensive student loan MBA education is completely a glorified adventure. For me, it's not an adventure to get an MBA. I think subconsciously, myself is trying to save me to try to go back to who I truly am.
Right.
So I came here and then, but the 2-year MBA study, it's not easy. It's about job searching.
Okay.
And then from day one, it's working on resume. And then I graduated in a horrible time in 2009 when the last economy crisis.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Oh, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When most people were, including me, struggling finding job because most MBA have longer work experience. I don't. I only have 3 years.
Okay.
So, but I work every day very, very hard. I think one thing if I'm very good at is I work hard.
Yeah.
My work ethic is really strong.
Awesome.
So, and I found a job, and then luckily in Seattle. That's what made me to Seattle. But during the 2 years of in my MBA, I never really have even a chances or opportunity to thinking about sexuality.
Right, yeah.
I heard the word LGBT club, but I don't know. I know what that is, but I shy away from it because to me it's still taboo. It's something I cannot touch.
Right.
Until I live in Seattle, I feel like somehow the Emerald City, I feel like has a peace, have a way of life. It provide people some ability to think other than just chase after the material things in life. So after working here for a year, I know I'm a little bit different because I don't know whether I can say on here, but I watch gay porn.
You watch it. Hey, say whatever you want.
I realized that there is something wrong about me. Not wrong at that time. I think it's wrong.
You thought,
right?
Totally.
I thought I'm wrong.
Right.
So and then, but what should I do? I have no idea. All my roommates at that time, all of them are straight. All my friends I know are straight.
Right.
I cannot talk to my parents about it. I cannot talk to my friends about it.
Man, yeah.
So I just on one side at work, I need to be so cheerful. Because I need to save my job, I need to pay my student loan. But inside, I'm dying. I just don't know what I can live. And then there's one night, so that's how the book start. And I decided to go to Vancouver. That's 2010, 1 year after I had moved to Seattle.
Okay.
And I went to Vancouver, and at that time I know everything through Craigslist. Those fun days.
Yeah, that was a heyday of Craigslist back then too. Yeah, most definitely.
Yep. So there's a men searching men session, and that's where I start to see there are other guys. So I start meeting, and then on there I pick Vancouver because it's a little bit far away. I'm scared to be in Seattle. What if I met somebody I know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
It's like in Vancouver I know nobody.
Okay, a little more anonymity.
Exactly.
And, yeah, totally.
It's another country.
Yeah.
So so that was a journey. But that night, and then I met some guys, and then also in a gay bar, the first time to go to a gay bar.
Right.
And then I met an Australian guy. He took me back to the hotel, and then it was a scary experience because I never have sex before.
Right. Not with men or women or
none.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I was 28. And then he tried to have sex, and then that didn't turn out to be good. I'm scared. I was drunk. He was drunk.
Okay.
And then so I escaped the hotel room.
Yeah.
And that was in the early morning. I just remember going back to my hotel room, and I barely remember my sleep.
Yeah.
And then I woke up next morning. I just feel like I destroyed my life.
Okay.
Because all my parents, I don't know I know my mom because I used to talk to her all the time.
Yeah.
But she had few missed call to me. I cannot answer it because I cannot pick me up. I feel like I was like pieces of me on the floor in that hotel room that I started blog that morning. I remember went back to the hotel lobby. I sit there just quietly sipping a coffee and then turn on my computer. And then I told myself, I started a blog. I said, the blog is going to call Looking for My Way Out. And then starting from that day, I cannot lie to myself anymore. I need to look for my way out of this. And that's a journey to start everything. Basically, I surrender to my life, surrender to who I was, who I should always be.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of the whole beautiful journey that I met Brian actually 2 weeks after that, also on Craigslist.
Awesome.
Now we have been married since in 2013. So we have met each other for over 11 years now.
Awesome.
So, and now we have 3 beautiful daughters. I just feel like, everything starts from that moment once I not try to live the way other people want me to.
Right.
And surrender to who I'm supposed to be.
Right. And, in a way, it's almost like, and I'm definitely going to be putting words in your mouth, but this is just me thinking out loud. It's almost like a way that you finally found your way of consciously living, right? It's we in whatever walk of life, we're pushed into the reality by our parents or our protective ones, if we have that. If sometimes we don't, and we're just forced to figure it out, right? But we tend to find this pattern of life that we go into, right? And in the West, it's you go to college, you get a fucking job, and you put 401k, and you have family, all this stupid shit, right? And that's what we feel like the cookie cutter mold is, but. And that might be for some, that might not be for others. But once you find your way out of what is expected, quote unquote, what you feel is expected of you, and you start to consciously live for the way that enlightens you as a human being and fills your personal cup, it's almost like it's not like the difficulties go away, but the path seems to illuminate, right? And so in reading the book that you've written, there's so many obstacles that you've had to get past to get to this happiness that you live in and that you embrace now, that a lot of people would maybe not want to walk that path, not want to go through that difficulty of life, not have to answer all the weird questions or have to hide some things or choose what they want to put out there, but once you embrace that life that intrinsically that feels right to you, it's not work anymore, right? It's just all out there. Right? This is me. This is who I am. I'm Nick. I'm a homosexual man. I got 3 kids. Fucking awesome. Killing life right now.
Exactly. I can't agree more. It's like the consciousness before I don't understand, because I know we have heart. Right. I know we have mind, but I don't know what is consciousness. Actually, consciousness is our soul. It's a way that we should live, right? But so long we were living by our mind and then by our heart, the emotion, because that's what our parents teach us, call me, right? The society asks us to do. That's what we react to the news, react to everything.
Right.
But consciousness is such a beautiful thing. It's something we need to listen to more. So I cannot agree. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do every day today, is to choose to living consciously, listening to myself, right? Yeah. And then even people talking about what is super conscious. It's like when you're going to do the meditation, what you try to achieve, right? To raise to the level is a godlike level. And then because we're all connected somehow, and then to God, right? How to raise to that. Yeah. And that's what I'm living on today. So, yeah. And
it's a beautiful example for your kids, right? It's a beautiful example for your kids to see that their dads went through anything that they had to have 3 beautiful children, to have an amazing life together, that they went against whatever we would consider cultural norms at the time, and just you found your happiness. That's so inspiring to a child to know that, like, you don't have to have the life that somebody gives you. You can build that life that you want.
That's so true. It's like every day I worry about, because what I went through, what the society, what my parents ask me to do.
Right.
I worry I'm doing that to my kids as well. So it's like, that's the awareness, the consciousness I need to know about.
Right.
And then so I need to make sure I'm not making the same mistake. But even if I'm doing that, I hope there are some way I'm doing. That's what I'm doing every day in yoga and then in doing the meditation.
Yeah.
Hopefully those is helping them. It's so funny because I'm on this spiritual journey and to do the meditation. And in meditation, I love chanting. My
cool.
recent favorite chanting is feel my body, feel my soul, fill me with the sound of Om. So I do that from time to time. And just last week, actually, I was driving my 3 daughters to school. And subconsciously, I just start singing that song. I just, feel my body, feel my spirit, fill me with the sound of Om. And then my daughters start asking, they're sitting back, they're like, Daddy, is that from your meditation? I'm like, yes, it is. And then they start singing with me together.
Man.
The drive to school is literally only 8 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's just so beautiful. We all sing together. And then at the end, when I'm sending them to school, when I get them out of their car seat, and I said to my oldest one, to Phoebe, said, you know, if you feel sometimes your anger, some friends frustrate you, just sing the song. May you be peaceful. May you be calm. Right? I just feel like it's those little things in life. And then what yoga and meditation give me, and then hopefully can empower me to live as a human that my kids can model after, because we are the kids' best friend and best teacher.
Definitely.
And then they will learn what we are doing.
They are, man. They're little sponges. They're seeing and absorbing everything that we do.
Yeah, exactly. Even sometimes I do yoga at home. Most of the time I go to studio to do that. But my kids from time to time just always try to show me off. And then their tree pose, their half moon. And it's just fun to see them doing those things.
Most definitely.
Yeah, they don't want to go with me to do a half an hour, even 1 hour session. But I know it's planting seeds in their mind.
Yeah.
So sometimes those seeds will flourish, I hope.
Exactly. My kids are 17 and 12. I have 2 daughters. And through my years, let's see, I started practicing yoga when my oldest was probably 7, maybe 5 or 7, somewhere in there. And so my kids have dabbled with, they'll come in sometimes, especially when they were younger. They would sit with me while I meditated. And, they would sit there for like 5 minutes or so, and I would hear them shuffling around. But it was so great to just have that energy with me, in there. And, sometimes they would nap while I was meditating. But then, my kids would come with me to take class while I was teaching across the street over at B1. And that was beautiful too, to have my kids, in class with me, and this is back before COVID, so I can actually adjust them and help them with their practice and stuff. And then it was really inspiring for the other students to see children, taking class too. So, but now them being 17 and 12, they have no desire to do anything like that with me, which is great because, like you said, they're those seeds that we plant, right? And even though that 17 and 12-year-old might not want to meditate every day like I do, might not want to do yoga every day that I do, that seed is planted that they know those are healthy habits that are there for them when they're ready to adopt them, if they want to adopt them, right? But I think if anything, it's just seeing their parental figures have some kind of healthy habit that they commit themselves to for the betterment of not only themselves, but for the people around them. Because it's, our self-work that we're doing is definitely making us more fit to where we can get out there and help people. But it's not for us, this work that I'm doing is out there for humanity, right? I'm a better person so I can show up better and help people, right? It's not just, I'm going to get all these skills and go sit in a cabin somewhere in the middle of nowhere. You referenced Walden a couple times, Jeff Thoreau. I love Walden. It's one of my favorite books. And that was one of the first books I started reading with the romantic knowledge of, I'm going to go live in Alaska in the middle of nowhere in an F society, screw people. I just want to go live in society in the middle of nowhere. And then reading through that book, I'm like, that's not the way to do it. You got to show back up. You got to come back out and show what the world what you've worked on, and help lead by example in some kind of way.
It is. That's my theme for the year. So late last year, through the whole pandemic, I started reading the book Surrender Experiment.
I haven't read that.
Michael Singer, cool. So the Untethered Soul. And then, so he wrote the Surrender Experiment. Well, I first started with Untethered Soul. And then when he talked about who you are, And then, so the identity, that completely shocked me. I don't even understand that. That's beyond my understanding because I was not on my spiritual journey at that time.
Right.
So, but after I read The Surrender Experiment, I feel like, oh my gosh, that is my life in the last 11 years that I'm on my sexuality, on what I went through.
Okay.
And then, so I start to relate a lot. Now I'm start to listening to his talk like every week, talking about basically life, talking about identity, talking about how to just untether our soul, how to let go. We need to let all the identity go. I might be a father, but I'm not a father. I might be, a homosexual, but I'm not homosexual. I'm a soul. There's no gender in my soul, right? In my consciousness.
Right.
I am just this being, and the reason I'm on this world, which I truly believe after reading all this, is to surrender to it and then serving others.
Right.
And only by that, I can have pure joy within me.
Yeah.
And then that's just a feeling. It's like what kids have every day looking at kids.
Exactly.
It's so happy.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I want to achieve right now.
I love that.
Yeah.
One of the things that brings me hope with that whole concept, that joy hope, that concept is that, when we look at people that have reached some kind of, let's say, enlightenment in our day and age, right? There was Gandhi, there's Dalai Lama, there's these beautiful Mother Teresa, these people that have embodied some kind of thing that maybe we're searching for, right? But as they find that, the seriousness of life seems to be stripped away, and there's almost this childlike joy that comes around. Like if you look in the Dalai Lama's eyes when he meets somebody, there's nobody else in that room but that person that he's meeting. There could be thousands of people in that room, but all the attention is put into that one person in front of him. That attention that's given is so beautiful, and it's the joy in the face, the elation in the eyes, the smile from ear to ear. There's nobody else in that room but that person with the Dalai Lama. And it's that's reassuring to me because there's so much stressful stuff in life that we go through. But how much of that stressful stuff in life is the expectations that we put on ourselves to have that expectation in life, right?
Yep.
And we start peeling that shit away, right? Peeling the materialistic stuff away, and everything we peel away, there's a bit of a brighter light underneath that thing we took away from it, right? So take the car away, there's a brighter light. Take the house away, there's a brighter light. Take the clothes away, there's a brighter light. And we keep peeling this stuff away, then all of a sudden there's this magnificent light that's underneath all of that, that's just shining as brilliant as it can be.
That's one thing, like what you mentioned, right? I completely agree.
Yeah.
So it's hard, right? It's if I'm living a normal life and then I was born, let's say if I were born in Seattle, I grew up here and my parents want me to live this way. I have a perfectly happy life and I have a job. And then what else am I looking for, right? Sometimes we don't know what we don't know. I do feel like that's, at least for me as a parent right now, one big project I'm charting for the next 10 years is to have creative chaos for my kids, to let them know that their life, the so-called American life, American dream, is just one version of life. There are different versions of life in the world. The world is so big and our earth is so small compared to the whole universe.
Yeah.
So that's what right now my plan, I've been actively planning that for the last few months. My plan is from 2024 to 2026. We plan to live in an Asian country, so 2 years.
Cool.
So let the kids, so I already talked to the school there, everything. So we're going to visit next year. And it's called Actum Academy. One of the way of the learning that's based on Montessori, but based on Socratic. And then also embrace the technology learning. But we want to live there for 2 years and then come back to America, and then we want to go to either Europe or Africa for another 2 years.
Wow.
Because I do think those are the things that we need to be conscious of. It's like if we as a parent don't thinking about setting up the system right.
Right.
If the system process is there, and then the kids will just flow like a lazy river, right? It will just flow like that. But we need to create something to let them know that the world is different.
Yeah.
And that go back to, Adam, like what you said before, you love reading, right? Same here. I love reading. Every week I just read books after books because it's from those books that I know I only live this life.
Right.
And I know that people are living other lives. Like I'm finally reading this week, I'm reading the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin.
Oh, cool. Right
It's
on.
just fascinating to see one of our founding fathers of the country, what he's doing at that time, reading his words from hundreds of years ago, writing to his son.
Wow.
It's just beautiful.
That is.
It's, right? Because for me, I grew up in China. I don't know any U.S. all his people, right, from before. But now I live here. I'm an American citizen. I want to learn more about the history that I used to hate when I studied. So I just think, that's one thing. I just think reading and then trying to create creative chaos.
Right.
And then it's interesting. But it's tough though. Like, the past... it was my birthday yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Happy belated birthday.
So thank you.
Yeah, very cool.
So my husband, Brian, he helped to clean up one corner of my study, my office.
All right.
And then make it, he know I love reading. And then he bought a very comfortable, those kind of the chair with a cushion and a very beautiful light and everything. Some very good tea and a very beautiful carving and everything put in there. My mom bought a Buddha for me. My best friend bought a Tibetan bowl for me.
Oh, wow.
So I'm decorating all those.
Yeah.
And as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, oh my God, what if I need to leave in 2 years? I don't want to. This is so comfortable and everything. I know I shouldn't think about the future. I should live today.
Yeah.
But our thoughts are we cannot control it.
Exactly. They're there for a reason. Yeah.
But it is there. But on the other side, I'm like, well, I will just surrender to it when it comes. But now, today, I'm going to enjoy this beautiful and comfortable chair to read my book about Benjamin Franklin.
There you go. I love that. I read something a while ago on the point of that you made about people that read. There's a study. I can't remember who did the study, but there's a study out there that shows that people that have a regular reading habit, especially of novels, have a higher ability for empathy because you're putting yourself in positions that you as a human being can't physically go into, right? There's a lot of books that I read about that are in the past or in the future. I can't physically do that. I can't go back into slave times and be a slave or a slave owner and read from that, be in that position, but I can read about that and empathize with the plights that go on with that. And through that empathy that I create, that's going to help me show up better into the world that I have in front of me into a more healthy way. So I love that idea that even just that and not a simple act, but that act of reading and just putting yourself in other people's positions and seeing something outside of your own peripheral or your own view is going to create that empathy that you need in life to really understand somebody else, right? Because we can't live all the lives. Well, I guess technically, if you believe in reincarnation, we have to live all the lives, and that's what we're doing. We're living all the lives in all different situations. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm homosexual, I'm transgender, sometimes I'm a prince, sometimes I'm a pauper, right? And we do all the things so we can experience life through all the aspects of life. And so then we can create that overarching empathy, that world empathy, not just our empathy for the people that are in our immediate circles.
Right.
And I think that's such a huge thing for us. And that's such a good example for a parent. Great job for you, man, setting that example for your kids.
Oh, I'm still struggling.
Yeah.
I'm still studying. I mean, I share what I need to learn the most. Right. That's what's active in my mind. Every day I constantly thinking about how I can become a better parent for my kids. At the same time, I'm also trying to not to label myself as a parent, right? Try to make sure untether that part of the balloon to let my kids flow. And one day, not to live the way I want them to be. Yeah. It's hard. It's so hard.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I love your idea of taking your kids around and living in different places of the world for a couple of years. There's nothing better to dismiss any fear of culture or to understand how to embrace culture than to go live in it. And if you're scared of a race of people, go live in that country for a couple of years or a couple months or whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. We're all human. We're trying to do the things that create happiness in our lives, the best that we can, right? And if we understand that everybody's, there's small percentages of people that do have things that they're ulterior motives, that's fine, right? But we can't lump the entire world in off of a couple percentages of people, right? For the most part, people are trying to find their ways to make themselves happy, right? And maybe there's some ignorance behind it. And so, but when we meet ignorance with aggression, when you see somebody doing something that you would consider stupid and you go up to them and be like, hey, that's stupid. That's the aggression, right? And if nobody likes being called stupid, so yeah, we find our ways to meet the ignorance that we have with questions instead of aggression. And then that starts to deplete that ignorance that's around us and creates the openness for a conversation to happen. Right? And I think that, man,
I think what you said is so true. I think what started my whole journey is I grew up in China. My parents, my grandparents, they're all teachers. So,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah. And then when I graduated from college in 2004, I was lucky to get a job at that time for a German software company called SAP.
Okay.
And then they acquired a company in Israel. And then, so before I graduated, actually, I was sent to Israel. And then, so I was there for a month, and I go back there, Tel Aviv, a lot of time.
Yeah.
Before I go, my parents are so worried. And then Israel, all the war, that's what you heard on the news every single day.
Right.
But when I was there, I feel like the people there are the most loving people I've ever met.
Right.
And then that's the time I realized the world is big. And then, so my career progression is from that point, I started to try to find jobs that get me to travel a lot. So my next job after that is actually I become one of the partner and ambassador in Asia Pacific.
Oh.
So that's where I start to travel to every other week. This week I'm in Pakistan, next week I'm in Malaysia and Australia, United States, and I travel to all the different countries to meet people there because I give them training, 1 week training about our technology, and then the local people will take me to different places to see, and then I see different religion, I see about different culture, what people talking about, all the like so funny in India and Pakistan, I went to the border to see every afternoon they have the raise the flag ceremony and then people competing with each other and everything, the country conflict. But people are nice, no matter what the political agenda is, no matter what the religion is. I'm so curious. I was so curious about religion because I never have religion. Because in China, there's no religion.
Right.
And then so to go to Egypt, see one part of the story, and then go to Pakistan, go to some different religion, how that really ground people. And then I just feel like very, open my mind to be one way of living, right? And it's actually through that journey, I decided to come to America because when I was in America, when I'm traveling, I see there is some part of the freedom. Even if right now, a lot of time I feel like, oh my gosh, where is that freedom? But still, actually, this country, I still believe in the American dream. I still believe in the freedom this country have compared to a lot of different countries. I mean, if I were in China, I cannot marry Brian. I cannot have kids. Those are impossible, right? So I can't forget what this country gave me, and I'm forever grateful for. But I also need my kids to see other side of the story, other parts. Before I leave China, I hate Chinese culture. I feel like why I need to live that way. But after I live here, I understand the Chinese saying for thousands of years, we said only when you're so far away from the mountain and then you see the whole mountain. When you're in the mountain, you don't see the mountain. Now I see the beauty of my Chinese culture. Even though I'm American, I'm forever Chinese. You know, and then my Chinese culture defined me to be work very, very hard, my work ethic, and then always kind. And that run my name. My name Yu actually means jade. That's what my parents gave me, the jade stone. That means pureless, and then kindness. And that's what I go to live forever of my life. And then those are the things I hope, you know, my kids will have. And it's also thinking about the traveling. Before we have kids, I actually talked to Brian. I said, should we travel more around the world before we have kids? And then we made the decision to be like, no, when we have kids first, and then we will travel with them. Because traveling is not just about where you're going. It's who you're going with. And I feel like traveling with them and then to experience the world together and learn together, be forever a learner in the world. I just feel like that's something excite me. So at home, I have a map because I love traveling so much. And then Brian, for holiday, a lot of the time, he just bought me National Geographic, all the different books. So I have a map at home in my office that whenever I read different things, I'll map the place I want to go. It's all different pins. And then also, thanks to technology in Google Earth, I map the same place. So I have a digital version and then a physical version. Because when I'm traveling, I don't have that physical version map. But I have a digital version I can go. I say, oh, this is safe. We're safe to go. Safe to go, right? It's just a fun journey because I feel like that's hopefully my next 10 years, 20 years with the kids.
Yeah.
Is to travel to the world together.
That's so cool, man. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, I'm so excited for your kids' journey on that too, to see what they learn and to, and you being a journaler and you being such a planner that you are, I'm sure there's going to be some documentation of some kind of sort, of like how your kids are growing and stuff. And, just to see that as a child, probably when they're in their 20s, right? And see how, when they were living in the Asian country for 2 years, the notes that dad took and how they progressed and all this stuff, and just seeing that cultural just growth through them as humans, through those experiences that they have. That's priceless. That really is priceless, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I start to document their journey in 2 ways.
Okay.
The first way is I do Miracle Morning and 12-week year.
I read about that. Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so I live every 12-week year as a year. Now I'm in my amazing year. I call amazing year 6. Yeah. So I've done that for over 1.5 years now. But I'm on my amazing year 6. Every morning, I will go through what I need to do.
Okay.
So what I need to do, there are my running. I get up at 5 o'clock to do 2-mile run.
Okay.
And then I need to do meditation. I need to do other things. And one part is always with kids.
Okay.
What do I plan to do with the kids today? So every day I actually write down what I need to do with the kids. It's fun to see what I did with them over a long time ago.
Yeah.
Second thing is actually, this is something so fun. I started a Chinese version of TikTok last year. And
really?
then, so that's where I document all my journey of 2 dads, 3 girls.
Okay.
Actually, we have over 1 million followers.
Oh, that's great, man.
And it's fascinating.
Yeah.
There are a lot of advertising and doing all the opportunity, but I'm choosing not to do that. It's because for me, that's one part. My pure goal is to document the journey with the kids.
Yeah.
I always fascinated by those people share like photos once a day for like the last 10 years or whatever. So every day I just post 1 or 2 videos of the girls.
Cool.
And then what's happening with our family.
Yeah.
It's just fun way. Even the girls sometimes like watching those videos. It's like, oh, we were there, we're in that zoo, or we were doing that. It just, I don't know. Those are the things I like what you say. I need to be a little bit conscious about recording because if we don't, life just passed so fast. It's like we don't even realize.
Well, I love that you're using the technology that we sometimes can abuse for such a beautiful thing. You're documenting the growth and the development of your children and your family, instead of like, hey, look what I ate for lunch today, which is fine. There's obviously, parts for that, but like, using and utilizing the technology that we have in that social media aspect for something so beautiful, because it's going to be around forever, and you'll have that always, man.
It is. And it's also video. I believe video is in future.
Yeah.
Because that is the way to capture not just a static, but what's happening, the emotion and the feeling, the interaction. Sometimes we don't see, right? How many times you go back to see a video, you always found something new that you didn't notice. Right. So I do feel like capturing all those, I don't know, when the kids are old, because in my visualization, in my morning ritual, one part is visualization. In my visualization, I have a few script. One script is when I'm 65 years old.
Oh, okay.
In that script, I always talking about when I'm 65 years old, when I'm sitting on the beach with my grandkids. What do we talk about? Right.
Yeah.
That part is why I always worry I have nothing to talk about our life, the exciting things that what we do. That's all always want me to do more. And on the other side, I always need to think about less is more. So life is always about the conflict, even within us. So, but it is through that I'm just thinking, what if my kids can see their whole life, right, documented in a way, and then they will have so much more memories. Like what I sometimes, when I was writing the book, I forgot. It took me a long time to dig through those memories.
Right, yeah.
And then, I just think that will be readily available for them at that time if they choose to.
Right.
To digest or to use them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's great, man. I love that. Well, do you mind talking about the process you guys had to go through to find a surrogate? That's not a process that's really, a lot of people talk about, or that's, it's becoming more regular. But, I thought that was fascinating how the process to find the right surrogate, and then how you guys went from nicknaming to just, okay, you're number 187. Like, we're not nicknaming anymore until we find out the right.
Yeah. So first of all, a lot of people don't even know we need surrogate and we need egg donor. So those
I didn't know that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly.
That was new to me.
So those are different, right? So because in most state, legally, a surrogate cannot be the egg donor. Otherwise, the surrogate become the mom. So we need to be completely separate. And then for the egg donor, most of the time, they want to be anonymous. They don't want other people to know who they are.
Okay.
And then versus surrogate, you want to set up relationship with them. Like 2 days ago, I just phone call. I talked to my surrogate Chelsea again.
Oh, cool.
She's still living in Fresno, and then we haven't talked for a while. And then because life could get busy, but we have a good talk.
And she was a surrogate for all three of your kids.
She's a surrogate for all three of us.
Right on.
We're very fortunate. She's
beautiful.
like forever extended family to us.
The way you wrote about her, she seemed like part of your family no matter what. Like as soon as you started writing about her, I'm like, okay, there's a strong tie to Chelsea. She's got a big place in your heart.
Yeah, that's why we name our youngest daughter after her.
Cool.
Because we want her to be forever remember that.
Yeah.
And Chelsea, what she did for our family.
That's great.
To build it. And then the journey to finding surrogate to a lot. What we do is, I think one thing my parents teach me well is to trust my intuition, maybe trust my subconsciousness or consciousness.
Okay.
And then the same with surrogacy. A lot of people, they do a lot of detailed planning, and I am very systematic. I'm very analytical. But the other side, I try to trust my gut.
Okay.
So our whole surrogate, I think, selection process is less than 2 months. And then we just decide, once I talk to an agent, we feel like that's a good agent. We feel like she's living Los Angeles, but she's from Seattle before, and she used to be a surrogate. Her name is Melissa. I have a great talk with her. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And then she recommended one surrogate, and then I said, okay, let's go with it. And then, but it turned out to be her, after the ultrasound, there are some issues.
Okay.
So we unfortunately need to let her go, but she find the next one, Chelsea, and then we have a great talk.
Yeah.
We feel like, okay, that sounds good. That go back to what I really like about that book, Surrender Experiment.
Okay.
I just feel like it's really, my whole life has been, ever since 2010, I've been surrendering to my life rather than like fighting against it.
Right.
And then once I don't fight my life flaw, once go with it, everything just falling into pieces.
Right.
And just like our surrogate. And then the first time she carried Phoebe, it worked pretty well. We did plan 2 babies. And
I did read about that, yeah.
Yeah. And then one, unfortunately, at week 10 or week 12, the ultrasound, it lose heartbeat.
Yeah.
That was a very, very sad journey. But we recover it. Actually, Brian and I went to a hike in Machu Picchu. So
and you weren't feeling too well.
I was not feeling well. I was completely sick.
Man.
I ate some cheese corn, and that's one thing about traveling so interesting because I grew up in Asia. Every time I traveling in South America, I feel like I'm a more the bacteria is easy to get into me. Versus Brian, every time we go to Thailand, we go to China, he is more easy to get sick.
Oh, interesting.
It's just I think there's different colonies of the bacteria
that
we're
makes
used
sense.
to or not used to. So, but Brian they ate the same cheese corn, but he's completely fine.
Yeah.
But I was having fever, and then I was not doing well to go to the bathroom 15 times a day.
Oh, man.
And then going through that hiking journey, it's like every day get up at 4 or 5, and then start hiking.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty tough, and there's no bathroom along the way. We slept in the tent, but after those 4 days, I feel like we can conquer anything.
I would imagine, yeah.
And then that's where I also process about losing the boy,
Right.
the one, and then we completely say, well, we should cherish what we have.
Yeah.
Whatever happened already happened.
Right.
So yeah, and then the second part of the pregnancy turned out to be very smooth. So we welcome Phoebe. We have a road trip, went down to California to welcome her.
Well, it's kind of like, you like you said earlier, you got out of the way, right? You could have been like, oh my God, everything's ruined now. We lost, one of the children, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, okay, no, you know what? That was as hard as this is and as difficult as it is. This was the way that the life just progressed, right? So here we are in life. We could resist this and be upset and be sad, and that just could ruin everything, or we could accept and use this as a learning opportunity to grow as a couple.
Yep,
right?
exactly.
That's so beautiful, man.
Thank you. And I love the word you chose. You use, I just got out of the way. it is that simple,
Right.
but it is so hard when you're in that moment trying to do it, right? It's like we should just get out of the way of the life flow. Let it, right? Instead of in a lot of surrogacy group, they're all talking about what is surrogate doing? Are they eating this? Are they drinking that?
Oh,
Do
yeah,
they need
okay.
to do you need to make sure they're doing that? And I just feel like what I learned is just let it go.
Yeah.
And then there are so many things we cannot micromanage. I cannot micromanage myself or my husband or my kids. How about, right? There's no way. Just get out of the way. Yeah. And then so the first delivery, everything worked out so well. And then, but grew up as the only child, and then I always want a big family.
Right.
And then I always feel a little bit lonely when I grow up, and then that's why we went for the second round. And then it's so funny. There is something there I would like to share. It's limiting thoughts or our belief system.
Okay.
Because Brian is an alcoholic.
Okay.
And then he is always very open about it.
Okay.
When I got into relationship, I don't even understand that. What is an alcoholic? I grew up in the family, nobody smoke or drink.
Oh, right.
So
Yeah.
for me, it's easy not to drink. I don't even like drinking. I used to do tequila shots only to please other people, only to make me feel like cool going to those parties. I can do tequila shots.
Totally. Liquid
But-
courage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But do I like it? I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
And then, but Brian is really suffering from that.
Right.
And then, so in the first time when we do the surrogacy, so we separate our sperms to match with the eggs.
Okay.
And then, so I have a lot of embryo that are successful.
All right.
But for Brian, there's only one embryo successful.
Okay.
And that's the one we plant, and that's also the one we fail.
All right.
So in my mind, and then we don't have so much money. So at that time, I was thinking, talking to Brian, I said, how about let's just go back to what we froze for my embryo.
Okay.
And let's just plant two of them there.
Right.
And then Brian said, yes, he is one of the most amazing human I ever met. He changed my life so much to be who I am today.
Love that.
And then, but my mom stopped that. I talked to my mom. My
Oh,
mom
interesting.
said,
Okay.
how selfish you could be to be thinking that way.
Yeah.
And then, but to me, in one part, I have a thought. I saw maybe it's because of Brian's drinking too much. Maybe that impact,
Yeah,
right? Because
totally,
that's
yeah.
what you always heard.
Most definitely.
And then, so, but my mom said, no matter what, he's a father. He
Yeah.
is your husband. You need to do it again. Even if you don't have money, you need to come up with money to save and then to do that.
Wow.
So we save, we find a new egg donor, and then we do the same process.
All right.
Match some, because we want the twins to have at least some gene share.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so because we plan to plant two again. So this time we did just like the first time. But wow, how Divine Mother and then the Mother Nature taught me wrong, because none of my success
Oh,
is success.
interesting.
All Brian's, most of his is successful.
Wow.
Just when I thought it's all because he's drinking.
Right,
See,
yeah.
this is something so easy in a couple argument or something. We believe in something so strongly. We think it's all your fault.
Right.
Not at all. It's
Yeah.
actually, it's all how I think, how I interpreted the whole situation.
Yeah.
So that's a big lesson I will never forget.
Wow. Yeah.
And then so what happened is we planned one from the new batch,
Mm-hmm.
and then we unfroze one from the previous batch from
Okay.
over 2 years ago and put it together. We reach out to the same surrogate mother, Chelsea, and then we planned two. And luckily, both of them stuck.
Yeah.
And then we got twin girls. So
Awesome.
we have three girls. That's how the
so
three
good.
girls came about.
And it's Chelsea and Hanley?
Hanalei.
Hanalei.
So
Cool.
we know the youngest one we want to name after Chelsea. I think we're just like, yes, let's do it. For Hanalei, we don't know what name need to be. And then that was also the time, actually, Chelsea, our surrogate Chelsea,
Mm-hmm.
was admitted to hospital labor in 27 weeks. It's already 1 centimeter
Oh, wow.
ready to go.
So really early.
Exactly, really early.
Yeah.
And then I flew down there, and then, but thank God, somehow the Divine Mother decides not the time to go. And then so she went back home,
Okay.
and then they have a lot of medicine for her. It's okay. Or maybe it's an In-N-Out burger I bought her. So anyway, so we had the In-N-Out burger that day.
Don't bring In-N-Out burger to this, man.
Exactly. Maybe the kids want to eat some more In-N-Out burger, so decide not to come out. But somehow, Yeah, the delivery didn't happen in 27 weeks.
Good.
So we came back, and then right before we become fathers again, we went to Kauai in
cool.
in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So one of our favorite place is Hanalei Bay. So we're walking on Hanalei Bay. It's just a beautiful day with Phoebe.
Yeah.
And then we're like, what if we just call the middle girl Hanalei? And then it's in Hawaii, it just means blue water, beautiful water.
Yeah.
And then it just sounds so beautiful. And then we say, okay, let's do it. So that evening, I remember we were walking in the Hanalei Bay. We decide the middle daughter's name is going to be Hanalei.
That's beautiful.
And then it turned out she's a blonde girl named Hanalei, and I speak perfect Chinese. So I always surprise people because she learned a lot of Chinese from my parents.
Okay.
Because they live in Seattle now.
Oh, they do now?
Yeah, they live in
that's
Seattle.
so cool.
So that's
on.
how she speaks perfect Chinese.
Yeah.
It's just so fun.
That's great. And how are your parents? Your parents love being grandparents?
They love it.
Yeah.
It's I didn't realize my mom, who she is. I should say, I saw the other side of her until we have kids, until they become grandparents. That's one thing I realized. Whatever my mom, my dad did to me, I shouldn't blame on them because they were first-time parents.
Right.
It's the same. Now they're first-time grandparents. Like we are first-time parents. Right. So we invite them to come to move to United States, live with us ever since our twins are born, Hanalei and Chelsea.
Yeah.
Because they were still in NICU for over 2 weeks. There's still so many issues.
Okay.
And then so they live with us. We bought a house there with a mother-in-law apartment. So they lived with us for over 3 years. Actually, just this year, they moved to their house in Linwood.
Okay.
It's just a big lot, a small, tiny house.
Yeah.
But it's perfect. It's a flat lot for the kids to play. Now they're raising chicken.
Oh, that's
and then
great.
they grow vegetables.
Yeah.
Building a playground in the backyard. They pick up the girls from school most of the days.
Oh,
so
man.
that they can teach the girls Chinese. Brian and I go over for dinner most of the time. And then it's just beautiful. I love my life right now. Is having my parents. I always ask them, they're 67 now. I always say, because I love traveling, I say, go travel. I'll buy you a package to Egypt, to somewhere, and then you will have fun.
Yeah.
And they're like, why I need to travel when all my happiness is here? And then I stop pushing them.
Right.
And I realize that's in their mind, the most beautiful life is to live here with us.
Right.
That every day we can see them and then enjoy dinner together, and then they can play with the kids together to teach them Chinese.
Right.
And then it's just so beautiful.
And that's
I'm very happy for them.
Yeah, man, that's such a joy. And if I'm not mistaken, in your culture, in Chinese culture, families are that close, right? If as the parents get older, they start to move in with the younger or the kids so that they can be taken care of. Whereas in our culture, we ship them off into some retirement home. Go be somebody else's issue, right? And it's such a beautiful thing because my dad passed away about 12 years ago, but my mom is 70-ish right now, and so she's getting into that point to where we're gonna have to make that decision. And there is a big, strong part of me that's like, I'm ready to be the parent to my mom. I'm ready to take care of her. I'm ready for her to not have to worry about where that next meal's coming, or if like, can she go out and play out at whatever activity that's scheduled through some kind of some retirement home. It's like, no, come live with us. Come live out those beautiful days, enriching us with the knowledge that you have, helping to raise the kids that we have. It's a beautiful thing, man. Like, keep that culture going, man.
It is. I can't agree more. That's what I like about America. I feel like it's a big melting pot of the culture.
Yeah.
Before, I'm always, as I mentioned, I'm ashamed of my culture. Now I always think, what can I bring from my culture to make this country? It's all from immigrants from hundreds of years ago to today, right? How to make this culture more amazing, make this the best country in the world.
Right.
It is to be accepting people are different,
Yeah.
right? So it is, for so long, I was always thinking about Asian culture, especially Chinese, and also a lot of other Asian culture. It's all, your life is not your life. Your life belongs to your family, belongs to your community.
Right, yeah.
Right? But America, it's more individual. Your life is your life.
Yeah.
I made the best decision for myself.
Right.
Right?
Instead of life happening to you, you're happening to life.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think Viktor Frankl in the book that he wrote about his time at Auschwitz, he one of his takeaways was that he's not going to let Auschwitz happen to him. He's going to happen to Auschwitz, right? He's going to be impactful to that place. That place is not going to beat him down. And I love that idea because that shifts our perspective of being victims in the life that we live.
Yep.
No. I'm going to live this life. The choices I make are going to be the choices I make. I'm going to push my pieces forward. I'm not letting life happen to me.
That's exactly true. It's like the concept of surrendering to life is not passive living. It's actually very active living.
Right.
But it's at that moment specifically, just accept what you have, accept the card God give you, and then but play the best you can. Right. It's that kind of the feeling I truly enjoy.
Yeah.
And then but now I'm just feel like my parents are happy, and then I'm happy to accept the life we have, and then seeing the growth growing.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And so you said that yoga happened. You started practicing yoga before you had kids, obviously. But was it before you met Brian?
It's actually after I have kids.
Oh, it was after you had a kid.
After
okay,
I
cool.
have a kid,
Okay.
I start to practice hot yoga.
Okay.
And I start to, because kids make me realize I need to take care of myself.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And I need to take care of myself, and I start practicing yoga, and I realize what I need to take care. I'm full of shit at that time, basically. What I need to take care of is not just my physical body. It's also my mind and soul. That's how it got into my writing the book, got into the soul digging, my consciousness, like what you mentioned. And go to my spiritual journey. So I think everything starts with yoga.
Right on.
It's like, I feel like because that's a flow of life. That's your flow of your energy. That's the thing. It's like, once you start to do yoga, I still cannot do most postures, but that doesn't matter. I'm not going to be perfect. What I need to do is to make my energy flow, and then it's to identify those blockage. Some are in my physical, different parts of the body, to stop some of the gesture. Some are in my heart, in my mind, that stop for me to think of some way or doing some way, right? So it's to identify those blockage and then to unblock them. I do feel like that's what yoga gives me. Yeah.
I love. I heard somebody say one time when they described how yoga can be transferred into life, and he said, "Okay, so think about yoga. You get yourself into an awkward position, like some pretzel-y position, whatever it is, but then you find peace, right? You take a couple breaths, you find peace. Then you get yourself into another awkward position, another not awkward yoga pose, but you find your breath and you find peace." Very much in life. Like in life, we're going to find ourselves in awkward positions, in awkward situations, in awkward confrontations, whatever it is. But we find our breath and we find peace, right? And I love that because that's that yoga off the mat. One of my first yoga off the mat moments was, like I mentioned earlier, I was in restaurants for a long time. And so part of being a restaurant manager is dealing with guests that yell at you because they've had some bad experience or food's cold, whatever. And in those early days, I would feel myself get flustered, the heart palpitations, starting to sweat a little bit. And but once I started practicing yoga and I had an occurrence where a guest was upset and they were letting me have it, right, in their own right. But instead of me feeling that emotional surge and that energetic, like, oh my God, I'm getting yelled at, I started my Ujjayi breath, right? I breathe in and out through the nose, nice and peaceful, and I was able to stay present and look at the person in the eye and respond in kind and let them say all that they needed to say without me getting flustered, and then be able to deliver some kind of answer for them so that they felt better. Right. And that was my first experience of yoga off the mat. I'm like, oh shit, this is really a life skill that we can have. Yep. And that's so beautiful to be able to transfer that. What for me at least was very vain. I started doing yoga because I was overweight and I had bad back and stuff like that. So I started for very, very vain reasons, but ended up finding peacefulness and spirituality through it. It's like it like creeps in there behind it. It's like, okay, cool, nice downward dog, bro. But here's a little quote from Buddha that you can think about for a little bit. And you're like, oh crap. All right, it's sneaking in there, isn't it?
I love when you are talking about, because that's what a lot of my yoga teacher taught me, is in those hard positions. And they also something, when it hurts so much, try to imagine when you're breathing, breathe into it, right? Breathing into the area that you feel stuck, that it hurts, or things like that. And I just think so true. And also about daily life is, I remember, I think it's a few weeks ago, we were in the kids. It's in the evening. We went to the Platorium, a fantastic Platorium in Elderwood Mall. It's a kids' playground inside, and I was so tired that day. I was like, I know I don't have the best of me, and then I decide let the kids play, and then just out of all the craziness, I just sit there looking at my posture, and I start to do yoga meditation. And then I was just sitting there for 25 minutes. And then after I come out of it, it's like a brand new person. And I can give the best of me to my kids rather than looking at phone, looking at other angry emails or things like that, because I'm in real estate. There's so many fires and everything. And especially in one business is property management, just so many crazy things. And then how I can not let things like what you're talking about, your customer complain to you, the same with me, and then to get into me, right? And then, but instead of taking care of myself, and then when I present to my kids, I'm the best of me rather than other people's anger.
Right. And I love, I really appreciate how you just said, instead of spending that time reading emails or doing all these things, taking that moment to find peace with yourself, and that's, being somebody that guides people in meditations and helps people with their meditative journeys. The hardest thing for people to find is time, right? It's like, where am I going to find 5 minutes? Where am I going to find an hour? Right. You just nailed it on the head. There's no need for you to read all those emails right now, right? There's no need for you to be on Facebook or social media, right? You can take that time and put that aside and be with yourself, or be present in a relationship, or be in, enjoy the physical person or the people around you instead of the digitalness that we can get trapped in, right? It all serves its a purpose, right? We need emails to run our businesses. We need social medias to promote and do all the things we do, right? Understandable, but not letting it be the dictator of your life, not letting it trap you into those moments where you could be like, you know what, I'm going to put that away, be present with my kids, or I'm going to meditate for about 10 minutes and just find some peace in life.
Right. It is so hard, right? It is, we're an animal of habits, right? So when we are so used to it, and then sometimes I realize what I'm doing is just switching through apps or tabs on my Chrome, and then without even doing things, just viewing all of the problems and getting stressed out without even doing it, right? But those are the moments we need to know that, okay, when I'm anxious, when I'm short of time, when I don't have anything, when I'm so urged to do something, that's exact the moment I need to stop. But how to do that, I feel like it's first you need to have the clarity to be aware of that.
Right.
And then to me, the journey all starts with going to classes, to be honest. It's like, because I cannot do it for myself. Now I feel like I am 40% there.
Okay.
I can be aware, I can start to do. But I think I still go back to, okay, if I sign up for the yoga class, I sign up for the meditation class, it forced me to do that. So, because we need that force to get us out of checking the email to do the things. And then once we start to see the benefit, our body are not dumb. Our mind just want to protect us. That's our human instinct. Once they start to see those habits, those benefit, it will start forming new habit. Right? To replace a bad habit with a new habit, start coming in. So that's one. That's why even before this discussion, I was a little bit late because I was in my meditation class. And today, normally we're all Zoom meditation class. I decided to go with my meditation classmate to a river. So we went to a river in Kenmore, sitting by the river, by the sunshine. I like when the sun goes through the leaves and going through my eyes, and to do a beautiful meditation for the whole hour class. It's just so beautiful. And those things snap me out of my normal zone and the need to work.
Right.
Because like what you said, your podcast is about modern yogis, right? We still live in the modern where we have the responsibilities as parents, as career-driven professionals. I never want to give up any of those. I love my material world. I love my kids. I love those. I'm not perfectly untethered, but I also need a peace.
Yeah.
And then that's where I think taking more classes and then start to forming habit can help.
Right.
At least help me.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that mentality because, we are in this world. Like, we live in this world. We live in this materialistic world, this capitalistic world, right? And we can resist it. Like we were talking earlier, you can resist it or you can go with the flow of the world. You could learn the rules of the game that you're playing within and then be able to manage your time and your spirituality within that capacity, right? And so I love that, and not just turning a blind eye and walking away. You know what? World disgusting. It's not for me. I'm just not going to be a part of it. One of the things that Ram Dass used to say was, if you're in this world and you're sick of it, why don't you learn about it? Learn the curriculum. Like, we're here for a reason, right? And so taking that opportunity to learn about what you like, what you don't like, and being a part of that system and being a part of the change if you need to change it, but not just bastardizing it and walking away from it,
Otherwise, go to become a monk.
Yeah,
right? Go
exactly.
to live in the temple. If you
Totally.
live here, we need to play the rule.
Yeah.
We need to go understand it. I love it. Who is that person you mentioned about the name?
There's a style of meditation called Vipassana, and there's a guy named Essen Goenka that was one of the guys that brought Vipassana meditation over into the West.
I see.
And one of the things that he talks about is through that meditation is they do over in Onalaska, which is just south of Olympia. They do there's meditation centers all over the world, but there's one over in Onalaska, and so it's a 2-week silent meditation. Right, you're there for 10 days. You're there for 2 weeks, but it's 10 days silence, and through that journey, what he talks about is that this is an idea of what monastic living is like, or to live like a monk, to live like a nun, right? But we can't always live like that, right? We don't have the ability, not all of us, to surrender all of our materialisticness and to live just to serve whatever God is, deity, whatever you believe in. But we can take those moments of life to see what that feels like and to appreciate what that feels like, and then take the knowledge of what that mentality is back into our world of being householders, business owners, family members, all that stuff, and seeing how that can integrate back into the civilization, humanity that we have.
Yep.
And I love that idea because, it's that Walden idea we talked about earlier. Yeah, it'd be nice to just take all of your gifts and all of your knowledge and all of your peace and go live in the mountains somewhere around either other peaceful people or nobody at all. But that's not going to do any, that you're not pushing humanity forward. That's self-serving. And if that's what you want, that's great. Understand that's what you're doing. But, for me, I can't just be self-serving anymore. I've been selfish my entire life. I can't be selfish anymore. So the gifts that I'm amassing are not for me. They're to help me find peace, but they're for the world, because as we find peace and as we actualize as human beings, we help the rest of the world actualize through the gifts that we're showing. And so I think that idea and that concept, to me, as scary and as much as I do romanticize about just going and hiding in the woods, it brings me back out. It brings me back out to the world.
I see. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I think I look into that just this year.
Oh, cool.
Right? It's like you need to apply very early.
You do, yeah.
Is that
totally.
right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, I do plan to go. I think it's so challenging to completely cut off everything for 10 days silent.
Man.
Have you done that?
Yeah, we did. So Monica and I both went.
Oh, wow.
And they separate sexes, right? So you got men on one side, women on the other side. And there's different walking paths, different meditation sites, all that stuff. And we did a 10-day, 4 or 5 years ago. And then after you do a 10-day, you can go back and do 3-day meditations. And so they're not as intense. You don't have to commit that much time. So we've done a 10-day and a 3-day through Vipassana. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It was the most difficult 10 days that I've ever had, that I've consciously ever had, and the most amazing results that I could never have imagined. When you don't have, because there's no reading, no writing, no talking, no exercising, not even yoga stretching, like they like none of that stuff, right? All you do is you sit and meditate for 11 hours a day. You have walking paths that you can walk to exercise and work out some of the kinks that you got, and then sleeping. And that's basically it. You get maybe 2 meals a day. Right. And so through that, there's no Netflix, there's no you can't like watch your problems away. You can't like bury shit anymore. Like everything that I've buried in life or hadn't dealt with properly all came rising to the surface. And like you were saying earlier about how whenever you're sitting and you say like you notice a sensation like in your shoulder, Right. So that idea with Vipassana is that you bring your awareness to that sensation, not attaching a label to it. Right. You don't want to say that's a bad sensation because then your body creates negativity around it. But you also don't want to say it's a good sensation, because if it's not there the next time, then your body's sad because you're craving that good sensation again. Right. So it's just awareness that there's a sensation there.
Got it.
And through that awareness, you're allowing that sensation to be seen, to be heard, to have some kind of understanding. And that just awareness, sometimes that breath into it, all it needs, and it starts to come to the surface, and comes to the surface, and then it goes away. Right. And what they call those of Vipassanas, they call them sankalpas. And sankalpas are those things that we haven't dealt with in life. Right. So with me, it was my father's passing, my dissolving of relationships, the mother of my children not being with me anymore. You know, those things that I just like buried through drugs and alcohol or whatever it was. And all that stuff started coming up. And it's like, man, I'm so sad and I'm so unhappy right now, but I'm going to sit here and meditate through it. I'm going to think about it and meditate through it. And through those 10 days, man, I feel like I released so much of my life that I didn't deal with properly. And was still, there's still a lot of unpacking to do after those 10 days. It wasn't just like, hey, cool, I'm a new human being, let's go do this. There's still a lot of unraveling to do, but, it was a good starting point to be like, hey, dude, here's all the shit. It's not going anywhere. Better start chipping away at it.
Got it.
Thank
you for sharing.
Yeah,
that's very, very useful.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're on that journey, man, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful path, man.
Okay.
You talked about, so you came from meditation earlier, and you've talked about your what was it? I made a note about it. What type of meditation? The Miracle Morning, right? So you've talked about a couple of that stuff. What got you into meditation? Was it yoga that got you towards meditation, or?
I started meditation actually just last year.
Okay.
So it's not a long time ago.
Right.
And then, I don't know. I think it just maybe something got me into it. But what made me serious about meditation? So at first, I'm listening to some YouTube meditation and then very casual. I feel like very commercialized meditation, headspace, things like that.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And then there's just one day, I'm surrendering to my life. Oh, I think everything starts from when I'm reading Untender Soul and Surrender Experiment.
Okay.
And I think I need to meditate a little bit more. And then I'm surrendering to life, and then I start to see more things I don't see before in my life. And then I drove by the Bothell Everett Highway every single day. And then, but I'm constantly thinking about meditation, because at that time my meditation is at my kids' painting class, and then I just lay on the floor, meditate, and I fell asleep listening to Headspace. Okay. So that's basically what meditation to me at that time. And so, and I drove by and I just saw, meditation. And then a big blue flag from Ananda Temple. Okay. So that's what got me into start to follow the Ananda meditation. So I took their class meditation, learned to meditation 1, learned to meditation 2. I don't know how many months it's on me learn to meditation 2 now. It's just a group of us. We all just hang out every week. And then I still pay every class because I just feel like it is something, when people talk about nonprofit or something, a lot of time people ask for, donate to this, donate to that. Right. But I never feel those kind of the connection, to be honest.
I agree.
But for this, I truly feel like, because it helped me so much. It's like, even if they say you can retake the class for life, you need to pay a dime. But like every time I want to pay, because I see how much it helped me. I want to help. I want you guys to use all these resources to help all the people in the world. Right. Because the name of Ananda is the joy within. I just feel like, at first I don't even know the name, but now it's everything I'm thinking about is how I can find joy within. Yeah. Right. So that's what I do meditation. I start to read the books. I learn at least the method I'm following right now. Okay. It's the 3 phases: relaxation, concentration, and then expansion. Okay. And then I try to, I'm still in my concentration. I'm still working on that. Sometimes I don't concentrate while thoughts coming in. I try to just observe it. And then expansion only happened a couple of times that I see the tunnel, that I see the lights, and I come out of it just full of love,
Yeah.
full of joy. Just such a beautiful feeling.
Yeah, those brief moments of samadhi. you know? Yeah.
Exactly. But it's still, but day to day, I'm doing meditation at least in the morning, sometimes in the evening.
Cool.
Not every day, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did and you said you chant now? When did chanting and mantras come into your practice?
It is normally starting with first some breathing exercise, some stretching exercise, and then I will start chanting.
Cool.
I will just follow with them. And then at first, chanting is so weird because I'm not a good singer and I sing horribly. And then, but I feel like the yoga breathing and then helped me so much about chanting. At least I feel like I'm using my stomach now.
Yeah.
My mom always said I sing with my lung, not with my stomach.
Okay.
But now I feel like I'm singing with my stomach going all the way up.
Yeah.
And then also the word, the topic sometimes it's weird, but now I love it. It's like I feel like different part of my life depending on what I'm experiencing. Some chant just got stick to it. It's like that's part of the life flow, and then chant just come easily going in.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then like in the morning I run so far these couple of weeks. I mean, it's all like I feel my body, feel my soul, just naturally coming to me.
Right.
And then when I'm running, hearing birds singing, and seeing the sunshine, it's actually at 5:30. It's already up there.
Yeah, right. That's encouraging, definitely.
And then it's actually beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful chanting. I love it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, chanting something that entered my practice about a year ago, and I was I've been a singer, I've been a musician, and I've kind of gotten away from it. I don't know if I developed stage fright or whatever it is, but I just don't feel comfortable doing it in front of people anymore. And so chanting, it was kind of scary to me because Reiki practitioner, chanting entered in my life for a reason. So chanting for me in the beginning was just, in my meditation, but now I've transferred that over into my Reiki practice and I chant for my Reiki clients and stuff. And that was a big test for me in the courage that I have to be that person again, to where I can use my voice in that as a kind of an instrument and not just utilize it for myself. And so, but it's that getting out of your way, right? You're given this gift for a reason, right? This gift was put in front of you, right? This chanting, this understanding, and this idea. And so learning how that resonates with you as the human, and then how it's going to help humanity. Right. And that resonates with me every day in my practice, because I said I probably chant for about 20 minutes every day, but it's not just a me thing, right? It's me chanting it so I understand I understand how to utilize the mantras, and this is for my own personal practice. I'll chant mantras for about 40 to 90 days for 20 minutes a day to really seat that mantra into me as a human, and then be able to utilize that for my clients and my practitioners and things like that for my Reiki.
Got it.
And you really utilize the idea and the esotericness of what that mantra means, and that's a big test of faith for me, right? Because it's way outside of my comfort zone, but it's getting out of your way.
Yep.
Yeah.
It helped me a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, in the yoga retreat, I think I did a Reiki healing session and also the sound bath.
Yeah.
I think you have a beautiful voice,
Oh, thank you,
especially
man.
for chanting.
Thank you.
And I think it really resonates. Right. If I go to chant for other people, I feel a little bit weird, but I feel this is my sound. It's different. I feel like, right. Let's go back to what you said. Different people got the different talent.
Right.
I just feel like your sound, when you're doing that, it really helps.
Oh,
it's
thank
very
you.
putting everything together.
Yeah.
It's thank you for doing that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that feedback, man.
Yep.
It's been it's been a beautiful journey, and it is that test of that understanding of who you are and what your gifts are, and how you can utilize those.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you said earlier about the consciousness, the combined consciousness, because that's something that I do truly believe that we do have some connectiveness. And through that connectiveness, if we can utilize the understanding of that, then the gifts that we have are all utilized. It's not just my gifts. Those gifts are for everybody. They're not just, they're maybe using me as a conduit to expend those gifts and to put those gifts out into the world, but they're not mine to keep. So those opportunities to where we can sell, expend those gifts out into the world. I think it's going to help motivate other people to really look for their gifts.
Yep. This morning when I was doing meditation class, because meditation class, our topic is light. So I'm light, how to light up the world. And then when I was doing meditation, I thought about a story about the light actually coming to my thoughts. It's when I was a kid, because we moved from a very poor place to Guangzhou, a big city, and at the time was struggling and everything. And I was watching a cartoon. It's a Japanese cartoon about a fighter, a soldier, and actually he ride a horse, and then he has pieces of sun in him. I remember at that time my mom told me that, want to encourage me, I know, he said, he called me Tong Tong, that's my Chinese nickname. He said, you remember, you have pieces of sun in you. That always stick in my mind because that was a hard time for my life because of moving, and then they want to degrade me, and then I was always a good student, but because I don't speak English, but in big city they learn English when they're younger. Right. And then so I always feel that way. I have a piece of sun in me. Until I'm on this spiritual journey, I really feel that way now. I really feel like we are all connected from this Big Bang that happens 13.8 billion years ago. And then we're all connected somehow. It's like we're part of the sun. We're part of the God. And we're, it's how about it's a peak and valley of our individual, right? It's like we all go through different frequency. How, when the worst of us in the valley comes, how we can raise up. So then the sun of us is setting the gold standard of what we needed to be to go up that way. And that is the consciousness. I always think about how to drive that up. Use my consciousness to when it's a low frequency, and I can drive it up to go to the, the peak. And then, it's just... it's just something I never imagined I will be doing, when I was in 2010, sitting in the hotel in the Vancouver, like looking for my way out. When I was writing that, when I was crying, people nearby must be thinking I'm crazy at that time. But I'm very grateful for the journey that I've been on. It's not only building a family, but also to finally know why I'm here on the earth. And then to finally find a calling, to surrender to life and to serving others. I just feel that is so beautiful. That just made me very happy. Joy with it.
And I think that's a beautiful message out there too, because we go through down points in our life. We go through low points in our life, especially when we're trying to find our identity, like yourself, and when we can't identify with who we are, some of those low points are really, really low, but there are so many good things that can come from those low points if you find your way to work through them. You find the community that'll help you through it. You find the vulnerability that you need, because those low points are needed to show you how beautiful the high points are. How beautiful that success can be, through that lowness that you find. And so finding your way through it and putting one foot in front of the other, and it is really like rehab sometimes. It's one day at a time. Don't worry about 3 weeks from now. Worry about today. What are you gonna do today? Right? Well, how's your peace? What are you going to do for peacefulness for today? How are you going to raise your consciousness? And just do it one day at a time, because that low point will start to get higher, and you'll start to get a little bit better, and you might, there still will be low points, right? But we're building that safety net that we have now, that consciousness that we have to be able to manage and utilize the skill set that we need to get ourselves through those low points, and to be that example that we are for ourselves and for others, to continue on even when that shit is low.
And that's like what you said, it's surrender. It's to surrender to the vulnerable part of you. It's not your strength. It's not what you're so good at. You're like, right? It is something you feel so insecure. You feel like something, you are so vulnerable. That's what you need the most. That's what everybody need the most. And then to make it better.
It is, man. That vulnerability, that's a huge one. I think if we and it's a practice, because not only are we not used to being vulnerable, we're not used to people being vulnerable. And so if you have somebody that's attempting vulnerability in your life with you, try to find your way to hold space for them without judging. And there was a thing that Monica and I did. We were part of this group called Sidewalk Talk. And for a couple of years, we would go out into like Gasworks Park or, these big, Green Lake and stuff like that with this group of people. And we would sit down with signs and folding chairs and said, okay, hey, look, you talk, we listen. I'm not here to give you advice. I don't want to solve your problems, but sometimes we just need to active listen. Right. And so these people would sit down. It was really uncomfortable for them because they're like, I don't know what to do. But as soon as that ball started rolling and things just started coming out, you know, the freedom that you could see in their eyes as they were just able to just let loose what was on their mind without expecting somebody to try to solve that problem or give them advice for it. I'm just sitting there nodding and smiling, you know,
just to let them process.
Exactly, man. Yep. It's such a beautiful, freeing thing for them that it was beautiful for me to experience and know how important active listening is because I'm a problem solver. You come to me with a problem, I'm going to start giving you solutions.
Same here.
You know, so, you know, to have that as a skill now is beautiful, man, because that takes that pressure off us as problem solvers.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, yeah, just spill it out there. I'm not gonna turn my wheels at all. You know.
That's why I realized listening to Michael Singer, he could keep talking about it's like solution. It's everybody knows a solution. We know the answer. Right. We know what to do. And then we don't need the outside world to tell us what's the right way. But what's getting to the way is a blockage, the thing that's making not clear. It's a clarity that we need to gain. And then it is actually through the processing because the talking is one way of processing that.
Right.
And then we start saying, oh, yeah, that's right. And then, you know, it is so true. It is one thing I need to learn as a better parent because sometimes my girl was crying, yelling at something. Sometimes they will figure out the solution. Right. They're not looking for a solution. I shouldn't just force what I think is the right thing for them to do.
Right.
But I'm so used to it. I just need to stop. You know?
A superhero just flies on in and solves all the problems, you know?
Right? And then especially when it's like, sometimes it's like work and then the girls. So I'm like, okay, let me pause the work a little bit, listen to the girl talking about. And then it become one girl, two girl, three girl fighting at the same time because they're the same age. So now what happened? Now what I should do is who should I listen to? And then, well, just need to let them work it out.
There you go.
My meditation teacher today, she was talking about, because we're sharing some struggles with all the kids in different people's life. And what she's saying is, every kid's coming to the world is just a soul, and then on their own journey, our goal is not to manipulate that journey, and it's just to be there for them and then provide the love and support. And then I just think that is so true. It's not to solve all those problems.
Right.
When they struggle, she was sharing this past weekend, one of her kids have some huge problem. It's hard to see what he's going through, but she just decided to let it go the way, let life flow in the way it need to be and get out of the way.
Right.
So, and I just think that's so true that I just need to remind myself to do that. Like what you said, that's why you chant for 45 days, right? To let it completely get into your cell.
Exactly.
On a cell level.
Definitely, most definitely. Ingrained in the DNA, man. Hell yeah. Oh, man.
That is.
Well, what's next for you, man? Are you planning on writing more books? Are you doing any kind of like, I know this is a couple years old now for the book, but are you promoting with the book? Are you kind of going around? What's your next steps here?
Not right now. I mean, for the book, I think that is one chapter of my life. Now my next chapter is we work so hard to have the three girls build a family. It is go back to what I'm imagining about the traveling. Yeah. And then so I do want my next 10 years to be a creative chaos with traveling and living in different parts of the world. And then while at the same time it's actively giving back to the society. And then it's not do those kind of simple donation. It's really helping people. Right. Simple, really try to see where are all the opportunities we can spread and love, and using technology, leveraging that, because I'm a very tech-driven person. Yeah. And then, so surrendering to life for our world traveling learning, and then I think giving back. I think that's my theme for the next 10 years. Awesome. And then we'll see what life take us. I used to be afraid of sharing my plan because I worry about whatever I share, it didn't happen. For typical my type 8 type of personality, I would feel like, oh my, such a defeat. It didn't happen because I said that. But now I feel like, well, I need to say it because that's my vision. I want to share with other people what I'm doing. But whatever it come, let's see. And then I'll try my best to surrender to that and be actively playing the card I got.
There you go. Love that. There's the last line of your book. It was super inspiring to me. I wrote it down. It said, if we live out loud, we can trounce the hatred and expand everyone's lives. I love that so much, man. We live out loud. That is the best thing ever. It's like almost like it's almost as beautiful as get out of your way.
Yep.
Live out loud, like you just said. Speak your truth, right? Put it out there, right? If we're holding ourselves accountable, right? And so, yes, we can hold ourselves accountable, but put it out there in the universe. Let the universe hold you accountable, right? Let it out there, because once we speak our truth out there, especially if you're manifesting and you understand the way that all that works, put it out there, it's all going to start coming to you, right? I think you said somewhere in your book too, it's like when we talk about like the negative things in life, like I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. Well, that's the thing that's going to come into you, because that's the thing that you're calling in, right?
You're attracting.
Exactly, right? If you want joy, look at what joy looks like in your life. You have to attract that in there. Don't push the things out you don't want. Attract the things in you do want.
That is one thing I learned about meditation. It's like, oh, I feel so stressed. I feel so tired. Now let me go to meditate, and then suddenly I'll be happy. It's not. It's when you want to seek joy, practice with joy. You need to plant that seed first, right? Yeah. It's like when you want light, practice with light. When you want love, give love. And I truly believe that. Sometimes it's just that switch. It's not that hard, and then when you practice with that, suddenly it just flourish and it's everywhere in the world, and that's where the expansion goes. I feel like it's go beyond you and then go to other people. And then talking about the last phrase, the live out loud, that is from Andrew Solomon. Okay. So he gave TED Talk. So before I'm thinking about writing books, before I'm thinking about doing all those things, I listen to his TED Talk. And then he is gay person, live in New York with his husband. Okay. And then he shared in his TED Talk about his son, George. And then when he was 5 years old, he shared about his whole life, about how he grew up. And then at that time, he didn't have a good childhood because he's gay and everybody laughed at him. Okay. And how when I think his 50th birthday, his son in the birthday gave a talk and then talking about, Dad, if I were your friend today, I'll be so happy to have you as a friend. Right. And then he shared about his message to the whole world is to tell your story loud. Every time I listen to that part of the TED Talk, I just cry in my car. Every time I cry, I just feel like those are the signals in my mind, the consciousness or subconscious and telling me I need to tell my story. Yeah. That's when everything at the end, life is a puzzle. When I went to the best year ever, when I was doing Miracle Morning, when I have the hot yoga, when I listened to this talk, all the puzzle, put it together, is telling me that I need to live out loud. I need to tell my story. There you go. And then that's what made me to write the book. Writing the book is not hard. I finished writing part is just in a month. And wow, I'm a horrible writer, but it's just like letting it flow. It's all there. Yeah. I just need to let it flow out. And then to see what it will do to the world. So anyway, I do encourage everybody. Yeah. Live light aloud to tell your story. And
I think that's a beautiful way to end it, man. Live out loud, tell your story. I mean, you never know who's going to be impacted by your story. And people outside of whatever genre you think you're going to be in, people outside of whatever, reach you think you're going to get to, books like this are just gonna really impact people in a very special way. And I appreciate you putting it out there and you writing this book and living the life that you're living and living by example. You're living your life by an example. That is a beautiful way to do it. Your kids are going to benefit. I'm benefiting, and I've only known you for 2 months, right? Not even, maybe 3 weeks, right? Yep. And I'm benefiting from your life that you've lived, because that's an inspirational thing. Live out loud, right? You never know who you're going to benefit.
Thank you, Adam. That means a lot.
Yeah, most definitely, brother. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, man. We'll chat soon.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks so much for joining us today. I'll leave links in the show notes for all the things we talked about for Nick's book and all that fun stuff. So if there's anything we can do to help, please reach out. My contact info is in the show notes as well. We're all doing this together, man. Like the podcast if you like it, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. Let's get the message out. Obeisance to you all. We'll see you next time.